This is a video about a big change in somebody's life, a recognition that would be different forever from that point going forward, and the onset of somebody's pain. And this is something that happened 6 years ago, but they only just recognised the connection between the pain and that change in the life yesterday. It's interesting how significant things can happen in our life and we can not really associate those two things as being related. So a very big emotional event in somebody's life and soon after physical pain. We're wired biologically when we feel pain to go looking for the structure. It's how we've evolved, it's how we've survived based on 200,000 years ago when we didn't have all of the things that we have now in our lives. Essentially the survival instincts are based on if you get a stimulus to your body, you have to check that it's not going to kill you, essentially. And you've got to react really fast to that physical stimulus. If you think of the stimulus in our life, this hypervigilance that can develop from things in the future, things in the past that aren't actually real now, not danger in the present moment, but if you're really in a heightened state, so something that would keep you awake at night, you're thinking about a situation you haven't got control of, you don't have the information to end it immediately, and you're not too sure how it's going to pan out, and you're not in control of it. That's the stress response. It could be something exciting, but generally you'd give that some thought, feel excited, and it would fade. If it's something that would be framed as negatively stressful, so the body's in an excited state, what we call that fear, or frustration, or anger, or resentment, or regret, or guilt, or shame, constantly thinking about that to try and get out of the situation, or replaying that situation means the body's in that heightened state, and that is the ability to create a physical problem for that person, a physical feedback loop of the body saying we're in this state for too long, that can become pain when all the earlier signals are missed. I hope that makes sense to think, well, how does stress trigger physical pain? If I'm sat here thinking about a situation that makes me tense and I don't change my thought patterns or reactions or the emotions driving it, feeding the loop, eventually my hands ache, my shoulders are ache, my brain ache from thinking about it. I won't be able to eat whilst I'm in that state. I won't be able to use the energy that's focused on that issue for the immune system. I won't be able to rest and digest. So that's the background invisibly that's happening when we're focused on something like that. It creates a physical output and it can be pain. So once you get pain from that route and you start looking for the structure, or you detach yourself from the gap that came between the emotional situation and the physical pain, because you couldn't feel those things, which we can't at the time we're in the situation, then sometimes we use the physical pain as well. It's nothing to do with that. Nothing at all to do with that. We can't see our own behaviour in the gap because it feels quite normal to be dealing with that situation. So this disconnect between what's going on emotionally, what we feel that we miss, and then pain comes as the shocker and we go looking for the structure. If the symptoms are then attached to height or weight or age or wear and tear or an old scar or something that is correlated with that part of the body, that means there's a reality to it. If the belief then says this is the reason for my pain, you never see the emotional connection in its clearest form. So this young lad said back pain 6 years ago from deadlifting, and ever since he's never wanted to deadlift. He trains but he avoids the deadlift. Now what he's avoiding is the emotion attached to the event. Essentially it's fear of the activity. He's totally fit. He's of an age where he could deadlift if he wanted to, but now he doesn't go back to that situation. It presents with another pain that is simply another manifestation of the same situation. Once the emotion stays in the system, you develop fear around it. It's only a matter of time before something else pops up. So he comes with something else. I think it was a shoulder problem or something. Pretty much sees the mechanism between stress and his shoulder pain. I want to highlight to him what was happening in his life 6 years ago when the back pain came on. He went, oh, right. He said, I decided that the religion my family was in and the church I went to wasn't for me. And I left. And since that time, the families have been estranged. I think if he didn't follow that particular religion, he's kind of excommunicated. I don't know the detail of it. And it doesn't really matter. It just means he's estranged from his family at that time. But for 6 years, he felt that pain he had a week afterwards was just the deadlift. Now, I'm not saying he didn't injure himself at that time, because he could well have done. And even if you do suffer a structural injury at that time, that heals within 3 months. But if that pain fires at a time of high emotion, or actually that pain's firing because the body's already charged, and then you do a physical activity that triggers it, the emotion gets attached to the pain. And the fact he's fearful of deadlifting means there's fear attached to the pain. Do you get the connection? And it's fear of non-survival without these family members or the church or the faith that I've been told I must believe in to survive in the world. Actually, I'm going alone. I'm going alone. That's scary. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself. And when you've been told that you are no good for doing that, and we won't stay with you and be connected with you because of your beliefs, well, good for him for sticking to it. But good for them, for those people who want to stay in the religious faith. That means that it reconciles their life. There's no judgment with this. But he doesn't need to fear deadlifting. He doesn't have to have physical pain. He gets the connection. Doesn't matter that it's 6 years later. It makes absolute sense to him, and he's going to recover. He's already started to immediately. The fear kind of drops with the awareness that actually I know, I get it. God, it came a week afterwards, just after all that had happened. And he was using a behaviour that makes him feel safe, which is the gym. It's adrenaline-based behaviour to try and overcome something very adrenaline-based. You can't use that behaviour to block how you feel. It'll work for a short period and then the behaviour will create pain. Because the body's just trying to say that's enough of this emotional state. That has a physical component, psychological components, emotional components, social cues and things that we can never see and understand with our conscious mind because it's so overwhelming for it. So the body encodes those cues and reminds us in moments of overload, whether it's a physical movement, the weights again, the deadlift, or the person that we've not connected with or have been estranged from, and becomes a driver of the pain invisibly. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it's a route that means the pathway is clear to start to recover.